Good evening, Mr. Mathebula.
Good evening, Chief Justice and Commissioners.
We should have interviewed you a long time ago, and I forgot to apologize to Advocate Fisher. We apologize to you for the late start.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you very much. You hold BA Law and LLB degrees, am I correct?
That is correct, Chief Justice.
And for how many years have you been an attorney?
Well, Chief Justice, I was admitted in 1995, but I really started practicing from 1996.
You first became a lecturer?
That is correct.
For how many years? I see it was 1 year at some stage, then you moved to something else.
Well, it wasn't even 1 year, Chief Justice. It was probably something like
7
months.
Yes.
And I then moved on to...
Become a legal advisor for 1 year?
I also became a legal advisor for another 7 months. And thereafter, I then opened my own law firm.
And you have been an attorney for some 20 years, am I right? 19, 20 years.
Well,
it's a practicing attorney.
It is now, I'm on my 21st year now.
21st?
That is correct.
Oh, I thought you started in 1996.
That is correct, Chief Justice. In February.
Okay, all right. And which areas of the law did you focus on primarily over the years?
Well, Chief Justice, I would say that in the beginning, I focused mainly on criminal and civil litigation. And obviously, as the practice grew, I then moved to other areas. But I would say that I have been more of a generalist, if one may put it that way. So I have done almost everything. So that's how the practice has been.
Yes. And you've been actively involved in Black Lawyers Association, even at the level of chairperson. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chief Justice.
Yes. And you are ready, should you be appointed to undertake this responsibility as well as you're expected to?
Well, I believe so, Chief Justice. I think that I have run the race and I've covered the distance, and I think I've made myself available because I believe that I'm ready.
Yes. JP?
Thank you, CJ. Mr. Mathebula?
Good evening, JP.
Good afternoon. You acted for the first time in our division in 2006, is that correct?
That is correct.
Ever since then, you've been acting intermittently, and you had occasion to also act at the, I think, was it the Johannesburg court or Pretoria? One of those two.
Yes, JP, although it's not reflected here in the form that I filled, I was given an opportunity by the JP to act for approximately a week in South Gauteng.
And in between your acting stints, do you appear regularly in court? And if so, in which courts do you regularly appear?
Judge President, I do my own appearances largely. I appear in all the courts. I have appeared in our division. I've appeared, well, that's where I will regularly appear in our own division. I do have matters that I sometimes have to appear in South Gauteng primarily. Other than that, I appear in many other courts all over.
So you appear in both the magistrates' court and the high courts?
That is correct.
Would you say that you have been exposed to a wide spectrum of cases during your acting stints?
Well, yes, JP, I am of the view that I've been exposed to a large spectrum of cases during my different acting stints.
Did you have any challenges or did you cope?
Well, I think that there would have been challenges when one acted for the first time, but given the number of years that I have as a practitioner, I did not have challenges in other stints, no.
Have you ever had any difficulty in producing a judgment?
I do not believe that I've had any difficulty in producing a judgment.
Do you have any outstanding judgments at this stage?
Yes, JP, I do have two outstanding judgments, but these judgments were picked up on the last 2 days of the last term. I was cruising very well, and I believe that I was on autopilot, more or less. And it then happened that on the last 2 days, it happened.
It happens. It happens.
So I picked them up. So I'm working on them at the moment.
And the last day of the term was the 23rd of September, which means that you picked up those judgments in that last week.
Yes,
in September.
That is correct,
So
Judge
it's
President.
not even a month since you reserved the judgments.
Oh.
General, on average, how long do you take before handing down a judgment, a reserved judgment?
JP, you will notice that I acted in 2006 and 2009, 2011, and obviously now in 2016. So I would like to believe that I work fairly fast to produce a judgment if all things are available for me to be able to do that. As far as these two judgments are concerned, I am certain that I will work on them next week to finalize them, of course, and obviously then deliver them.
You haven't taken longer than 3 months to produce a judgment?
There has been an incident, but that was as far back as 2006 that I remember. And there's a reason for that, why that occurred. So yes, that's the one I remember.
It seems as if you don't want to elaborate about the reasons for that situation, but let me ask this question. How long did you then take to hand down that particular?
That judgment took about 5 months to
5 months.
5 months to produce, and this is where the reason arose from the following. My acting stint was completed, I think, in June, and when my acting stint was completed, the matter was a part head. I then had to come during the recess in July to do the matter, to hear the matter, and another month elapsed before the parties then submitted to me their heads, and then thereafter I then produced the judgments.
So you had to wait for written heads first?
I had to wait for written heads.
I see. And you have had occasion to do pre-trials?
I have had occasion to do pre-trials, yes, Jake.
So you have been involved in case management?
That is correct.
Have you managed to do circuit court duties?
I was supposed to have been doing circuit court duties at the last term, but my matter could not proceed, unfortunately.
But you did not find it an inconvenience, the fact that you had to do circuit court duties?
Well, I am a practitioner who regularly appears in court, so I happen to travel quite a lot. So that was not a problem at all for me.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, JP. Premier.
Thanks, CJ. Thanks, Dr. Mathebula.
Thank you.
Let me just ask, how many languages can you speak, write, or read?
I can speak English and Afrikaans as well as Sotho. I can read, write those languages. Part of me, because my mother is, she always tells me this, that is Intombi Umzulu. So I speak isiZulu as well, but I cannot read very well. I can speak isiXhosa, but I cannot read that. I can also speak Setswana and Sepedi, but my understanding of those is not as good as others, if I'm... The downside, of course, as my surname denotes, I'm of Shangaan extraction, but I've got a working knowledge of that language, which I'm supposed to be speaking.
So you can speak English, Sotho, Afrikaans, because you are forced to study in Afrikaans.
Well, Premier, those were the languages that were available throughout one's school career. So those were the languages that one had to learn. So, yes.
My last question, CJ, is around, I think it's either Free State Society of Advocates, which says they are worried that you are the least experienced. But when I hear you speaking about 21 years and the fact that you have been part of the Board of School for Legal Practice in the province, and somewhere somebody says you have been attending national events of the LSSA and SADC Lawyers Association, tells me that, and the fact that you have been on your own for all those years, tells me that you are more experienced.
I noticed that part, Premier. If one reads the submission that has been made by the bar, they really waxed lyrically about me, and I'm grateful to them for that. But on that one aspect, I think that they got it wrong with respect. If you look at my CV, Premier, you will, as the JP led me earlier, I have been invited to act in our division by 3 different leaders of that bench. And to me, that showed, I interpret it as a vote of confidence on me. And if you also look at my other participation, that I have been a commissioner at the CCMA, I've been trained to do that. I think I've been around the block. So I guess if I was an advocate, perhaps I could have been an SC. But because the profession where I belong to does not obviously confer such status, I don't have an opportunity to have an SC after my name. So I don't think they got it right. I think they missed the point a little bit there.
Thank you, Premier. You are excused, Mr. Mathebula.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice, and thank you for the courtesy of the interview.
Thank you.